this video, we will walk through completing the data-driven decisions project using the template here. Now, something to keep in mind, the questions for the project are actually located on slides 2 through 7 here. So you'll just need to complete each thing on the slides and then you're ready to submit. Let's take a look at what the project includes. So on slide number 2, you're asked to think about a decision you recently made regarding something in your personal life, work life, or something school related, and explain this decision with at least 3 sentences. Now, you can choose a lot of different decisions that you may have made in your personal life, again, your work life, or something with school related. For me and this project particularly, I found it was probably easiest to choose a financial decision. I'll give you an example. I might choose to talk about a decision where I was purchasing a car, or maybe I was purchasing a house. Um, this project kind of leans itself more to those financial decisions. You could also talk about choosing a particular school to attend. I'm just brainstorming here, some ideas. These are probably the 3 most common, and they lend themselves to the questions in this particular project and template. So you may want to choose one of those. However, you are welcome to choose any decision that you made as for your project. But on slide number 2, you want to explain this decision with at least 3 sentences. So possibly you were purchasing a car because your old car had run down, you had it had broken down and you may have been like stranded someplace because it wasn't working. You could go into a few details here, but I'm asking for 3 sentences on this one as you explain this decision. All right, let's take a look at slide number 3 then. Now, we've talked a lot in our class about data being quantitative with numbers or qualitative with categories or qualities, but we can also have a combination of both. So, what kinds of data did you end up using to help make your decision? Now, for instance, if you chose your project to be about purchasing a car decision, then possibly the data you might have considered was gas mileage, and that was quantitative. Right? You get the idea. You want to have at least 4 rows in this table completed. So 4 items that you considered, and you're just describing the data. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, but just identify what it is. And then you're saying quantitative or qualitative here in that second column. Again, you need 4 rows here. You're welcome to add some more if you have more data points, but it is a minimum of 4. Let's go on to slide number 4 then. In this one, we are looking for creating a list of pros and cons to help summarize the data you have collected. Now, your first column of this chart is the same as the data that you completed on slide number 3. So remember, my one on the slide number 3 was gas mileage. Okay. Is this a pro or a con? Well, for me, this was a pro because I wanted something with a good gas mileage, right? So I found the car had good, let's give it a number here, um, 30 miles per gallon. Okay, so you're taking the data that you identified on slide number 3 and you're putting it here in your first column. Then you're identifying, was it a pro or a con, and explain why it was a pro or con there in your final column. Then you're ready to move on to slide number 5. Of the data points you considered on slide number 3 and 4, remember we did gas mileage, you're going to do some others. Which 2 were the most important as you made your final decision? Were you satisfied with the outcome? So I said this is at least 3 sentences because I think you can tell us which 2 were the most important, why they were the most important, and then were you satisfied with your decision. So in this one, you might say, when I'm purchasing my car, gas mileage and price were the most important. That is because I needed an efficient car to get me where I needed to be without costing me too much money. And then was I satisfied with my outcome of the decision? Absolutely. I got a good, affordable, dependable car. You could say something to that effect. But again, here on slide number 5, you're telling us which of the ones you selected on slide number 3 and 4 were the two most important. All right, let's go on to slide number 6 then. What other information would you have liked to have to help you make your decision? Explain with 3 other sentences. So this one is where you're telling, okay, well, I didn't have this data, but it would have been nice to have had this data. For me, if I'm purchasing a car, I might have liked to have known the safety ratings, what my insurance was going to cost me to have that car. Maybe you already looked that up, but if you didn't, then it could fall into this category of what information would I have liked to have had? And again, 3 sentences here. All right, then you're ready for slide 7. Name one thing you would do differently next time you have a similar decision to make. So, what would you do differently? Would you have test driven more options? Would you have looked at other brands? Would you have waited longer? You've got a lot of options here, but you're just explaining in 2 sentences of one thing you would have done differently in your whole research process as you were making this decision. Now, after we've gone through the questions, you can see why this project kind of leans itself to a financial decision. Because a lot of times I find that we research more when we have our money involved. But again, you can choose any decision for this project that you want. I just found it to be a little bit more conducive to a financial decision. And then, of course, you can submit either as a Google Slides document through your Canvas, or you can download this as a PowerPoint. Remember, that's file, download, and do it as a PowerPoint file. And then you can upload it to Canvas. Either one works for me. I give you both options on that because Canvas is so friendly to Google. But I hope this helps you as you complete the project this week.